everyone to Microsoft Advanced Teams. Today, we're going to take a look at what happens with OneNote and Forms and kind of put all the pieces together. This is following our first session that we did last month. And if you didn't see that first session, let me know later and I can provide that video for you as well. I'm Professor Corinne Hoisington, and I want to thank you for joining us today at ByteSpeed. ByteSpeed is not only for hardware, but for training. I am their lead trainer for Microsoft Teams and for virtual reality. Kind of two different areas, but pretty fun. If you don't mind, jot down my email address off this first slide. And if you run into any questions or have any training needs, please let me know. I'd be happy to assist. I do both virtual training that's customized to your needs and face-to-face. I fly all over, even in this craziness. Hey, so welcome everyone. I want to dig in, but I want you to know that I am going to stop for questions occasionally. And if you'd like me to do something off script, I'd be happy to as well. So let's begin here. I write a lot of college textbooks. I'm a professor at Central Virginia Community College in Lynchburg, Virginia. So is where I am located. I'm the mother of 6 amazing children, 4 sons, 2 daughters, and notice 6 grandchildren into that picture. So that would be an important piece. Hold on, suddenly I'm getting music in my house and I shouldn't, so hold on. Tim, I'm teaching. Alexa, stop. Alexa, stop. Welcome back. Sorry, Alexa started playing music. Don't you love it? Hey, the computers are taking over. You know, it's amazing.
Here's a station you might like.
Even my phone. Ay, ay, ay. So in 2020, every minute of every day, each of these slices happen. Isn't this amazing? I want to especially point out the stuff in Microsoft Teams. In 2020, every minute, 24 hours a day, do you know there are 52,000 new connections in Microsoft Teams? So that's amazing. What else? Some other pieces and parts that you may find pretty fascinating. We know that consumers spend about $1 million online during any given minute in the US. And look at this, in Zoom, we see connections as well. So it's just kind of a new crazy world that we've entered into, and this has become our focus, and especially during these moments of COVID. Today, I want to dig a lot more into Microsoft Teams with OneNote Classrooms, distributing pages, reviewing student work, and then show you how to do some assessment as well. And if we have time, I'd love to do some Flipgrid. OneNote is really the heart of what Teams can do. Now, if you compare Teams to Zoom, they both can do video conferences like we're doing right now. But Teams is really a hub of hundreds of different apps and tools that go well beyond what Zoom can do. So we want to dig into what that looks like today. You can, using Microsoft Teams integrated with the OneNote Classroom, you could have OneNote staff notebooks. If a school goes fully online, which could possibly happen, we're seeing numbers only diminish in 3 different states right now. So as schools move more and more online during the winter months, this would be a place that you could have online faculty meetings, IT trainings. This could be where the 3rd grade could all work together instead of reinventing the wheel. So this is one idea, is to have OneNote staff notebooks, but what I want to dig into more today is the OneNote class notebook. And what this would consist of is a content library where a teacher can have their originals of worksheets, quizzes, tests, activities, whatever projects. They would also have a collaboration space. Think whiteboard. Everyone can do what you would typically do during a live class. And each student would have their own notebook. And this is really important because by students having their own notebook, the teacher can see that notebook, the student can see their own notebook, but a student cannot see other students' notebooks. And there's also an additional private space for the teacher where the students can't see it all. In other words, to kind of prime those lesson plans and get them queued up for later in the school year. And of course, there's always the OneNote personal notebook. And instead of just talking about it, I definitely want to do it live. And my reasoning for having the OneNote class notebook within Teams, I believe alone, if we work with a student, we can be smart. But when a community or a class works together, we can truly be brilliant. So enough with the slides. Let's go live. I'm going to head into an online class that I've been working with. And first thing that we mentioned last week, just to kind of get you primed for today, this panel on the left is called the Me panel. It's my activities, my chats, my teams or classes that I teach, the assignments that I've assigned, my calendar to connect with parents and students in live class meetings, calls that I make, and any files that I need. But this side over here, we call the we side because we're working together. Last month, we showed you how to create a class, how to put students in that class, and how to start posting information within that class. We even talked about going to the calendar to set up events with parents or students to have live meetings with classes. So let's dig further into this Teams piece. I first want to show you a finished OneNote notebook that has assignments, assessments, self-grading, all those pieces. And then I want to make one for scratch from us. And if you're just joining us, I'm Corinne Hoisington, and I'm going to be stopping, probably every 10 or 15 minutes to see if there are any questions in the Q&A. Or if you'd like to say your question out loud, we're a small group today. Feel free, we can do that as well. So today I want to hop in. Let's say I'm teaching this algebra class. We've already talked about how to make posts and make channels, but every single class, when they're created, automatically consists of posts, which the entire class can see, files that the teacher can upload, the class notebook, and assignments and grades. From this point to the left is all the things that are automated. To the right are some things that I added. I'll show you that later. But I want to dig into this class notebook. Class notebook is actually powered by a Microsoft product called OneNote, and it allows me to connect with my students. Think about it in a traditional class. If you were all sitting at a desk and I were standing in front, you all would have some type of notebook with your papers in it, and we'd have a collaboration space up on the board. But in real class, if we go online, we're missing some of those components, right? So the class notebook can take that, but I see the class notebook working for both online classes and face-to-face. Because so often the student goes home, if they have a device at home, and they can't find their work, they left it at school, wouldn't it be better to have everything in one place, regardless of how you're teaching that class? So what the OneNote class notebook does, and the first thing I'm going to do when I click on this tab called Class Notebook, is come up to the right-hand corner, and you'll see this two-sided arrow. This is called Expand tab, and it simply gives me more real estate when I click on it. Let me show you around the course, because when we create one from scratch in a moment, you'll be a little more accustomed to what you should see. Typically, there's always a collaboration space. Think of this collaboration space as your typical whiteboard, chalkboard. It's where the student can work with the teacher or the entire class, and everyone can draw and put things together here. So we could all be working in this collaboration space, So I could ask students to basically come to the board and answer some of these questions. We could work together. So think of this as your live whiteboard, and both students and teachers can fully edit this area. We also have something called our content library. Think of this as the location for teachers to put their originals of their class notes where students cannot edit them, the originals of worksheets, activities, quizzes, tests, and so forth. The students can see this, but they can't edit it. And then notice in my class, I have individual notebooks for Adele and Al and Alex and Ashley and Delbert and Doug, and you get the idea. And the idea here is that each of these student notebooks, I can create in one click, I'll show you momentarily, where they have class notes, handouts, homework, and quizzes, or any tabs that a teacher wishes. And I can then push items directly into their notebooks. And I can do that because on the teacher version of the class notebook, I have this particular tab called Class Notebooks. Students will not have this. And this is where I can push out pages into everyone's notebook, either everyone's notebook at the same time, or maybe specialized assignments for an individual or a group. And I could push out one assignment into, let's say, 5 of my sections if I were teaching like grade 9 Algebra 1. And I can even delete pages because after a while, these notebooks get a little busy. So we're going to show that to you as well. So big deal here to understand, Al Fredrickson cannot see Adele's notebook and Adele can't see Al's notebook. But this is a common space where I can come into Adele's notebook and see some of her assignments. And then I can come in here and actually grade her notebook. So, or grade this page. So I can come in here and, circle what I would like to do here. And we could actually, in this notebook, put things together of maybe where I wanted to highlight. I could draw this. I could give her a 91 A minus and tell her why. So this way I can write on top of her assignments. I could even go under her assignments. For example, I love these stickers that are in the notebook. And I'm not just saying silly stickers, but I like these ones that I can customize. So I can give more formative assessment like, well done, Adele. Let's continue to work on, and I could give her some feedback here. And this sticker could go onto her assignment right here. Now, I want to show you, I'm going to step back and first see if anyone has any questions so far. I don't see any open questions, but let me remind everybody there's a Q&A. If you have a question at any point in time that you'd like answered, I'll do that. I'm now going to show you how I set up these notebooks because that would be a pretty important component. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to go into a fresh class that I've recently created. If you want my old recording of how we did that in our basics class. And I'm now going to click on Class Notebook in this new class for the first time. And you can see that it's the first time because it says, hey, do you want to set up a OneNote class notebook? By clicking Set Up OneNote Class Notebook, I have 2 options here. Let me explain. If you select Blank Notebook, it's probably the first time you're setting up any of your classes and you're populating the elements for the first time. But let me give you a best practice here. If you have, back to my algebra teacher who teaches 5 or 6 sections of Algebra 1 to her 9th graders, I don't want to create 6 different notebooks and then have to populate each one separately. I'd be here forever. So what I could do is get one of the class notebooks very well populated, maybe for my first period, and then come back here and pick from existing notebook content while I'm in my second period class. I could now grab my first just to completely fill. But in my case, this is truly my first time in this class, so I'm going to make a blank notebook. And like we mentioned earlier, it's going to create these 3 or 4 sections. I'll explain again. It's going to create this collaboration space where teachers can edit and students can edit. Think of it like a great place to work together online or face-to-face. We'll have a content library where you can publish your course materials to the students, but only the teacher can edit this and the student can only view the content. There's this brand new, it was added last month, a teacher only section. I love this actually. This will allow teachers to kind of post all the things that they're going to, like their quizzes and tests, that they're going to push out soon, but the students can't see it before the teacher pushes it into their notebook, but at least it's all up there ready to roll. And we have these student notebooks. Once again, the teacher can edit that content, but the student can only edit their own content and they can't view others' notebooks. Love that. So by simply clicking next, I can then decide what kind of sections would I want in my grade 8 algebra class. So I'm not going to call it handouts. I'm going to possibly call it practice in my class. So I can pick what these sections are called, homework, quizzes. Maybe I want to add a test section. And then I might even have a fun section that I set up. You can make as many sections and think of sections like you do. You remember when we were kids, we had our little notebook and we'd have those colored little Dewey Tang tabs that we'd slide in the little white piece of paper to organize our notebook. That is the same thing that we're seeing here. And these could be deleted at another later time, or they could be added to. So don't think, oh my goodness, I've got to think through exactly what I want. I can never make a change. You still can make a change. So now I'm going to click create, and here's what's happening. It's now creating those 4 elements in my OneNote class notebook that are going to be created for each of the students enrolled in my class. And if I ever add a student to the class by clicking here and managing the team to add a new student, then their notebook would automatically be created as you add students. And if you delete students by clicking here to manage the team, their notebooks would automatically be deleted. Be sure to add and delete students at the team level, not inside the notebook. Good best practice. So here we are, and I love that it always makes me this welcome to class notebook page. It does remind all of your teachers exactly what's created here. And let me go back again and let's look around. I'm going to go up to the top right to this 2-sided arrow and expand that tab for some more real estate. Now, to see my sections and my pages, I'm going to navigate over here. Look where my mouse is circling on the left to this greater than symbol. It's just a place to open the navigation pane. And let me show you around. Now, I only had 1 student in this class, but if I would have had 30, 50, 100, let's hope not 100, their notebooks would have set up as well. So here's what I have. I have a collaboration space. And this is again where we can hold class. I'll put some pages there. I want you to think of this column right here where my mouse is going up and down to be our sections. And think of those as again as the thick notebook sections, and these are the individual pages. So later I want to add a page to this collaboration space, so I could click page right here and I could call this Tuesday class. And we can come back here and have class in a moment. We have our content library where teachers could upload their information that they're going to push out later. Oh, there's this teacher only. Students don't see this on their side. So again, a great place to store everything that they're about to teach. And then this is the place where I would have individual notebooks. Let's take a look at Jennifer's. In Jennifer's notebook, oh yeah, there's those sections I just created. The fun section, practice, homework, quizzes, class notes, and test. Voila. So we're getting everything set up here. So now I want to show you how I would use this collaboration space maybe to teach. Here I am in the midst of a class. Let's say I had planned to meet with everyone right here. I could now go to the Home tab, and first of all, I could dictate something to the class. let me just click right here. And something to know about OneNote is it automatically saves. I never have to worry about going to File and Save As. I'm good to go. If I go under the Home tab of the class notebook, and what I'm about to do, the students can also do, I could click this microphone, and now everyone look at my hands as the computer starts to type exactly what I'm saying live. So this could save teachers some assistance, and if you have any students who have some special needs, maybe they have broken their hand or they have cerebral palsy, this would really come in handy, would it not? And even for your younger kids or in kindergarten, grade 1 and 2, where they're not really typing yet, they could just talk, and that could be part of the assignment that the teacher grades. Oh, love that. What else? Well, I'm going to come down here, and let's say in today's class, I want to share a file. I can go under the Insert tab, and I like this one better. It's called Insert File Printout. Let's say I already have this really good algebra worksheet that came with my textbook, or a PDF file or something like this. This would allow me to open documents like this right here inside of Word. It actually opens it up and drops it onto the page so that I have something that the students can write on top of. It's loading right now. There it is. I think it's just a very short assignment I actually loaded in. But now students could actually draw on this. So if this were like number 1, 2, 3, 4 with some blanks, they could click under Draw, or you could click under Draw, and any of these items can be written upon. So if I push it into their notebooks, they could do their individual assignment this way. And in addition to this, we could insert some pictures. I'm going to add another page here because I'm getting pretty busy here. So let's say in one of my classes, I am teaching today mapping, maybe the mapping of the UK. Got it? So now I've switched to being a geography teacher. I could click right here and click Insert Picture. And I could get a picture from online. I love that I can get these pictures. These are all Creative Commons pictures. So that way I'm not breaking any copyright. It'll make our librarians happy. So here I go, and let's say I want to get them to label the countries of the UK. So I'm going to make sure it doesn't have a label. So this might be an assignment that we start here, but then I push into their notebooks. I'll show you that in just a moment. So we also can record audio. I love that students in a foreign language class could practice their language skills. Younger students could also practice their language skills as well. Let me click over here. So if I go under Insert, I could click Audio. Right now, it's recording my actual voice, so sound recording. And if I hit Stop, well, these might be a great way for teachers to share their information or directions. And now the students can click here and hit play. Right now, it's recording my actual. You hear me in stereo. But let's talk about this class notebook now that you kind of get the idea of what I could do in a class notebook and my students could do. So what I want to be able to do is take this worksheet or assignment and push it out into my students' notebooks. And that is done by this class notebook tab. Well, let's do it live. I can now come down to distribute page. If I want to distribute this page in everyone's notebook at once, I would click this item. But let me show you the others. I could do individuals. A lot of times, especially in lower grades, the students are at different levels, different reading groups, math groups. So I might have specialized assignments. And the nice thing about this, since no one else can see their notebook, they would have that privacy and not realize that they're a wee bit behind another student or a wee bit ahead. That way it gives a little more personalization, and you could do that as a group as well. And you could push this one single page or section into multiple sections. So if I had 5 classes, I could push this page into all 5 classes with one click. And these notebooks are going to get pretty full, so you're going to want to delete things sooner or later. So let me do this. I'll distribute this page called Mapping of the UK. It will ask me one question. Where do you want to put it? So let me put this under, we'll put this under homework. And now that I've selected homework, I simply click distribute, and it's going to distribute to every single student's notebook that's in this class in the assignments section. So now the students could go and see their assignments. Let me go here. Remember, I created this from scratch, so this shouldn't have anything here unless I pushed it out. I'm now going to go under homework, and voila, look, the mapping of the UK showed up into every student's. And of course, I'd give them some directions here, maybe to label the different regions of the UK or whatever we happen to be learning at this time. Okay, let me take a moment and come over here and see how you guys are doing back here. Some questions. Oh, good, chat. I'm going to stay muted if you don't mind, as I have a new noisy office. No trouble with that, Shonda. Any Q&A yet? Not yet, but if you guys, I'll take a moment. If anybody wants to speak, feel free to raise your hand and I could give you a moment to do this. Hey, real quick in the chat, would you guys tell me if this is helpful thus far? So tell me where we're going with this and if you have any questions so I can check in. So if you want to click on chat and just kind of give me some feedback of how we're doing at this time. Okay. After you do this, oh good, Martin, yes, very, very helpful, learning a lot, perfect. Hey, now what next I'm going to do, I'm going to share my screen once again, and I want to take this a little bit further. So I want you to imagine that pushing things out, a little challenging. There is some great professional development under this class notebook. What I like about some of these links is they're directed at educators, not companies. So if the teacher wants a quick little video on doing something, they're really great under here. And we can even manage notebooks at any point in time. Remember I said we can change the names of these sections or add a section, pretty easy to get. And what I like about this Manage Class Notebook, do you all see right here this notebook link? This allows me to quickly copy the entire notebook, and I can now open it up in online OneNote if I have that same account pulled up. And now I could have an offline copy of this same notebook. Why would I possibly want to do that? So if I want to keep a master resource that I could use semester to semester, I could have everything as a copy in a separate notebook online. So I do like that and how simple it is to do. Now, I want to take this a little bit further, and if I were doing a typical full day training, I would spend a lot of time in this class notebook, but I want to try to do big picture for all of you today more so. So I want to now, we kind of understand post and uploading of files in our class notebooks. Let me quickly explain assignments. Now this is a big choice, and every K-12 and higher ed school does this a little bit differently. If you already have a learning management system like Canvas or Blackboard or something like that, or Moodle, you may not want to put due dates and assignments in here. But if your school doesn't want to fool with an LMS, this is like one-stop shopping. So here you already have Office 365, then you already have Teams, so you already have this assignments area. Let me at least show you what it is so you can see if this would be beneficial to you. So let's say I want to take that mapping of the UK that I just put in the class notebook and make a due date and a rubric, possibly a scoring way, everything. Or the assignment doesn't have to be part of the OneNote notebook. It could be a separate assignment that, you know, is a worksheet that I'm not going to put in OneNote. So however you want to handle it. So I could click Get Started in this new classes and hit Create. And it first asks me, hey, Corinne, do you want to make an assignment or a quiz? Now you might ask, what's the difference? It's an assessment. Well, an assignment usually has a due date, and typically the teacher would grade it. The quiz, in our case, is going to be self-grading, and that's pretty cool. So, but first the assignment, then I'll get to the quiz. So I'm going to create an assignment. Just like any assignment, I could say, I want you to create this mapping exercise. You remember the mapping the UK? I could put some detailed instructions. Please label the regions of the UK. If you remember, they've got England and Wales and Scotland and Northern Ireland and the Isle of Man. You get the idea. And by the way, look right here. It says add resources. We could upload additional worksheets or something that goes along with this assignment. That's cool. And it could really be anything, Excel spreadsheets, PDFs, Word documents, you get the idea. We can do this on a point system. Some teachers might count this 10 points, 100 points, whatever their scale is. And I like that we can add a rubric. In other words, how are they grading this? So if the teacher wants to develop this, or could leave that empty. Now we can decide, am I going to assign this to my grade 8 algebra class or other classes that I've already set up in Teams? And you could do them, all the classes right here if you needed to. Is this assignment directed at all students, or maybe I'm going to make separate assessments for different groups or individual students? I can do that here. I can select the due date. I'll pick tomorrow. I never pick 11:59 at night. I don't want my students up that late. Let's say 8 p.m. So, and am I going to allow late turn-ins? The student wouldn't know this, but I love that I can do what I call fudging. I can say, what's the closing day that if I go in and say, give them the extension, I could just pick what that extension is. Maybe I'm going to really give them a close date of Friday, but they're not going to see that unless I check this little box to give them that quick extension. Love that. So, and now I could assign it. Now, once, by the way, the difference between save and assign, save just saves this assignment, doesn't push it out yet. A lot of times when I'm doing my lesson plans, I may want to pre-set up all my assignments, but don't want the students to work ahead, and I could open the saved and then assign at a later time. I'm going to push this one out. So now when my students go in Teams or over here to their My panel right here, do you see where it says Assignments? So when they go under Assignments, they're now going to see that they have this mapping exercise. And I like that a student can click on Assignments even if they have several different classes and see what's due right now. So that's really helpful, and parents who hopefully are helping at home as well can very quickly see what's live fire in all their classes, if that makes sense. Now that we see how to set up one of those assignments, we can now, when we click on assignments, we see this exercise. When the student clicks on it, this is when they click on the actual assignment, we can see the student view to see what they're going to see. I could have linked it as well back to this class notebook page. Remember, under resources. So if I want them to see that class notebook page, I could have clicked add resources, and I could upload a file or direct it to that class notebook. Remember, we put this item that was originally in my collaboration space called the Mapping of the UK. And now, here it is, Mapping of the UK. This will now make that mapping assignment in their OneNote notebook actually have a due date. So now that's how I kind of pull the pieces together there. So I'll update that assignment to make sure I included that. And if I had multiple students, there's your gradebook. This is where I can open a student's assignment. I can grade it. What's nice about Microsoft Teams and a little feedback here, I love that I can actually open their physical assignment. So it'll open that OneNote class notebook page and let me write on top of it. I can circle things, highlight, annotate it in any way. Or if I prefer to give the old-fashioned nice job, not as good as assessment in my opinion, but if that's simpler, I could give some quick feedback this way too. So at this point, I can open the assignment right here without navigating back into OneNote, or I could just give them that quick, good job. Now let me go back and I'm going to create another assignment, but this time it's going to be self-grading. And I love these self-gradings because sometimes it could be their exit slip before they leave class. If you're not a classroom educator, a lot of times, whether you meet online or face-to-face, a lot of times this teacher will have like 3 questions that the student needs to answer to make sure they've been on task, they were paying attention, and a quick grade to see if they're ready to leave class or stay behind and get a little more help. So when I now click create, remember earlier we clicked assignment. This round, I'm going to select quiz. Now here's what this does. Microsoft for years has had a tool called Microsoft Forms. Now the teacher doesn't need to know much about Microforms because it's fully integrated into Microsoft Teams, but that's where we're actually creating the quiz. I already have a couple quizzes from before, but I want to create a new quiz just to show you how it's done. So what's happening right here is it just opened Microsoft Forms. The teacher didn't have to log in. It's totally seamless. So let's say I'm going to give a quick quiz about the map of the UK. That's what we've been learning. And sorry, I'm going to do this fast. I could put pictures here. What I like about the pictures here is it goes out to Bing and I can include any really cool picture here as we go. So, let's do Big Brother watching of 007 here. We'll get a good British flag going for the maps of the UK. I'm going to call this the exit slip to get out of my class. And this quiz could have thousands of questions or 2 or 3. And what type of questions can I do? Well, if I click add new, I can add multiple choice, fill in the blank that I could be self-grading, but I have to tell you, if it's more of a paragraph text, you may want to grade it yourself. I could give it a rating, like, could you put these in order? You might ask the student to tell me maybe on a date, for example, what date does Brexit officially take over? There's a date coming up, I think it's in January. Don't mark me down on that one. And then there's things like you could upload files in here for them to work. They could upload their answers in a file. There's Likert scales, rankings. I mean, it's just amazing. So if I wanted to do a very simple text question like, what is the largest country, region, I'm going to say, because they're a little weird, of the UK. They don't call them really countries. UK is a country. But let's say that answer, I'm going to call it an answer, is England. The student wouldn't see that, but that's what it would be grading. Lowercase would work, uppercase would work. I could make this a 10-point question or whatever. And are you requiring them to try something? And could they possibly have a long answer? I do want to briefly mention for your upper level grades, they do have something called branching, which really takes it from what I call a Google kind of forms action to something really high level. So what branching means, if they don't get this first question, they have to go back and have more questions, or if they do get it right, it jumps over to a higher level piece of math. And let me mention math. I love that in this, I can do, I'll add a second question. Maybe I want to put a mathematical equation. Look at this. I have this entire mathematical equation. Let me show you right here in a second. Look at this. I can do, and if you have any math teachers, and I know you do, they will just adore this because typically they're out of luck with doing a lot of the things that they want to do here. So I can do my x plus 7 and, you know, all the things and have it solve, and you get the idea here, right? So, and I could put my correct answer there. You get the idea. So what I love about this is instead of this looking like this boring quiz, I can pop over to the top here and pick theme. And check this out. We can make this look amazing before we're done. So you can even upload your own layouts or backgrounds. You can even do your school colors. And then when they do the responses, I can see a very detailed response. I'll show you that in a second. But let me preview what the student's going to see. They're going to see this beautiful little exit slip, and they could do that on any computer, PC, Mac, Chromebook, or any mobile device. And let's face it, for some of our students, using their parents' phone might work. And did you notice right here, there's this little book and a speaker all throughout Microsoft Teams, like we mentioned last week or last month. There's something called the immersive reader. That means the quiz can be read to the student. So we're including accessibility and inclusion to all of our
maps of the UK. Exit slip.
And I love that there's picture dictionaries. I can even translate it to 64 different languages. Ooh, let's have a little friend.
Carte du Royaume-Uni. Bordereau de sortie.
Pretty cool, right? And and if we click on any of the items, like that's the word cartes in French, this would be maps. So I don't know how that's a map. I have to think that one through, but you get the idea of how this is working here. So super simple, it would be self-grading, and these grades would go directly into their gradebook. And we could share it through a quick link or a QR code. In fact, let's try this. Everybody in the audience right now, I want you to grab your smartphone if you have it around. I'm hoping, like all of us, it's sitting next to you, right? Hey, open up your camera and point the camera of your smartphone at the computer. And just like you do at restaurants anymore, if you point at that QR code with your camera open, you don't need a QR code reader, tap web page, and you're now seeing the quiz I just created on your device. It may have you log in so it knows who you are, but I think you get the idea here. So now I have this created. When I now go back to create my quiz, that new quiz is there. There's the maps of the UK, and I could put that right in for my class to be able to take that quiz. I could set a due date on it, and it'll go directly into the class. Pretty simple. And this is a great way to kind of pull all of this simply together, especially when students are kind of all over the place. Hey, let me take a quick break. Everybody breathe. Let's see, any question? Thanks, Rob, for the comment, and Martin as well. Any questions so far? Let me look in my Q&A. Perfect. Before we finish up today, I want to also share with you how we can add a lot of other components within our class. So I'm going to open this algebra class up again. And remember, we said post, files, class notebook assignments, grades. Now we have a better idea. Here's what a grade notebook would look like with a lot going on, as you can see, with lots of students. We can even export it to Excel if you wanted to do any kind of points, averaging, weights. But what I really like in these Teams notebooks, and I do a lot when I do trainings at schools, is I like this plus sign at the top because it allows me to add so much more functionality. In fact, let me show you one called Flipgrid. But look around, there's Pear Decks, websites, Word documents, Kahoot. And if you work with your school, I bet you've heard some of these tools. So what Flipgrid is an easy way to get my students engaged. So I'm going to pop over here and just log into my Flipgrid website. By the way, Flipgrid is totally free. It's a video discussion board. And let's say I want my students to answer this prompt, what's in your bag? If you had to put 3 items in a backpack that best showcased who you are, what would they be? And it gives these students this code. Do you see this code? And it allows, here's some of my students, to answer whatever prompt I put out there. Well, I want to be able to take this prompt that we just had here and take that into my Teams class. So that way it's one-stop shopping here. So now I can put this code right here of what's in your bag, hit save, and now all of my students' responses are right here, one-stop shopping. And Flipgrid allows anyone to record a response and even does closed captioning of their video automatically. So I could record a response with mine right here. And for example, I could record mine right here. I'm going to have to turn off my Zoom video for just a second because I can't do it 2 places. So, hey guys, you'll see my video right here. So now if I'm asked what's in my bag to describe me for my class, I would say the first thing that I would put in there is probably my smartphone. I hate to be like everyone else, but I agree, I'm addicted. I would shove my family in there because they're awesome. And I would probably put Microsoft Teams in my backpack because it does such a good job. And during this, just so you can see it, I have now all these options in Flipgrid where I can record my screen, like do a step-by-step. I can do other things like upload clips. So it's just amazing what you can do with these recordings. So, and this now is nice because now the students can go into their class notebook, see what they're working on. They can come out here, they can work on their Flipgrid. In an algebra class, we could load a web page like Desmos to do live graphing in here. I mean, the sky is the limit because now I can add any web page in here to really pull it all together. So I think Teams is just, if you're already a Microsoft school, a great place to have everything put together. So let me put my video back on here. So I want to give everyone a badge for attending because I am a Microsoft certified trainer. And for coming today, if you would like to get a Microsoft Teams OneNote badge, this is different than the badge that you got last time. You can go to the website education.microsoft.com and type in this achievement code. Once you create a free account, there's no cost. And it creates this badge website and it logs your and your faculty's training efforts into a free transcript. So if you ever need me to do training in your neck of the woods, whether virtually or face-to-face, not only would they get training on a variety of topics, but since I am a Microsoft certified trainer, they would also get badges which would provide them something called a Microsoft Innovative Educator. And it's a pretty big deal. So that way they can move along. So I want to break for questions and start to end here. First of all, my email address is choisington@bytespeed.com. So if you'd like customized training in your neck of the woods, I'd like to be the one that does it. And I do well beyond what we did today. I do a lot of other topics. And if you're also interested in virtual reality, we do a lot of workshops on that and free webinars. So email me about that and I'll be sure to invite you to the next one. Wow. Woo! So let me stop sharing my screen. I'm going to put my email right here in our chat. Hopefully this was helpful, and it is being recorded today. So if you want to share this recording with anyone, feel free. Just come back to our website. And I thank all of you for coming today. If you have a question, feel free to stay behind. But we are officially concluding our little advanced training. So I hope it was helpful, and I look forward to hearing from you so I can help in any of your neck of the woods. I'm going to stop the training.